and greetings of the day to all the learners and viewers who are watching us in today's session. I am Dr. Gitika S. Johri, faculty at School of Vocational Education and Training, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Learners, we have been discussing the course on secretarial practice, which is also a part of the program on Diploma in Modern Office Practice. Now, in this course on secretarial practice, till now what we have covered and what we will be covering in our forthcoming sessions, let us have a look at all those. Learners, we have already covered the topic on secretary. We have covered the topic on communication, which has been divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. We have also completed the topic on office correspondence. We have done reception and public relations, and we have also done meetings partially. Today we will be covering the rest of the meetings, and in our forthcoming sessions we will be taking up report writing, sources of information, travel arrangements, and handling cash and bank transactions. So learners, as far as the topic on meetings is concerned, we have already discussed about what is meeting and its types. We have also discussed the role of a secretary before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. Now in our today's session, we will continue with the same unit, but we will understand about the preparation of notice, agenda, and minutes of the meeting. So let's start with notice. What is the notice? Notice is an advance intimation of the meeting so that the person receiving it gets an opportunity to prepare himself for it. Now, notice must be given to every such manner who is entitled to attend the meeting. Issue of notice is obligatory, but where meetings are fixed to be held on a specified date and days, it may not be necessary to send the notice. For example, learners, if we have fixed a date as the first Thursday of every month, in that case we know the day, we know that first of every month will be a particular date. In that case, it is not very necessary to send the notice. But yes, it is necessary to send the reminder in such cases as well. Notice must be served in the manner prescribed in the rules of the concerned department. So learners, there are different kind of departments, and each department has a very different peculiar manner in which they have to serve the notice. There are different departments, as I mentioned. They can be department marketing department, they can be a finance department, they can be a human resource department. So every department has its own way of sending the notice and serving the notice. So we must abide by the rules of the concerned department. Then notice must be written. Verbal notice may be given personally over the phone, but it should be confirmed by the written notice. So although we can give a verbal notice as well, but it is always better to get a feedback or get some kind of a reply that yes, we have received the notice of a particular meeting. The period of notice calling is prescribed in the rules of the organization, but generally in the case of annual general meeting of a company, the notice must reach the members at least 21 days before the meeting. What do we mean by this, learners? We mean that when we are calling meetings for big organizations, there we have many kind of stakeholders. They can be directors, they can be members, they can be shareholders, they can be debenture holders, they can be people from the office. So at least 21 days notice has to be given to them for calling such kind of a meeting, because they may be traveling by car, they may be traveling by rail, or they can be having traveling by air. So there are different modes of transport with the help of which they are coming to attend the meeting. So at least 21 days notice has to be given to members of the organization. Then learners, the secretary must also ensure that the notice is circulated to all the members within the stipulated time. It should not happen that the meeting day is over and then some members are getting the notice. So it is always better, as we mentioned above also, that at least 21 days before the notice has to be shared with all the members. Then notice must also specify the date, time and place of the meeting. It is very essential because as we just mentioned that people are coming from different places, from different corners of the country, or maybe within the state they are coming. So we have to mention the particular date, the particular time and the place of the meeting. It must also indicate the nature of the business to be transacted. The copies of certain reports, statements, etc. must be enclosed to the notice if required. Now, for example, what are we talking about? In case if you're talking about an annual general meeting of the company, obviously the copy of the balance sheet, the copy of the profit and loss account of the company, and the director's report, they have to be sent along with the notice. Because if the people, they already do not know what is there beforehand, they will not be able to understand what is the meeting going to be transacted on, or what is the agenda of the meeting. So it is very essential that wherever such kind of documents have to be supported, they have to be given along with the notice. Now here, learners, it is there, we've given you a specimen of the notice of an annual general meeting. It states that notice of the annual general meeting to be held on 22nd August 2021, which is a Sunday, for members only. So the content of the notice is read it as under: notice is hereby given that the annual general meeting of such and such society, it can be any society, it can be any organization, it can be any club, anything it can be. It will be held on Sunday, the 22nd of August 2021 at the society's compound, plot number so and so, place so and so, Delhi, at 2 p.m. And then the signatories of the Honorable Secretary would be there. Now, learners, let us move on to agenda. We know that, since we are talking about meetings, so in our previous session, if you recall, we had discussed about the types of meetings, whether it is annual general meeting, whether it is extraordinary general meetings, whether it is directors meeting, or it is the shareholders meeting. And then we had also discussed, if you recall, what are the role of the secretary before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. So when we talk about meeting, notice, agenda, minutes, they are all very crucial and part and parcel of the meetings. So in our last slides, we have talked about notice. Now let us come to agenda. What is agenda? Agenda means things to be discussed in the meetings. It denotes the program or the list of the items of business to be transacted at the meeting. It is the usual practice that notice of the meeting is sent along with the agenda. Most of the time, learners, what happens that when we are sending the notice of the meeting, along with the notice, we also send the agenda. What is agenda? Again, it is a roadmap of what will be covered in the meeting. The information can be sent in advance or distributed at the meeting. But always it is, viable to send the agenda in advance, because so that the whoever are participating in the meeting, they can have a look at what are the items which have to be discussed during the meeting, and they can be well prepared for that in advance. Then learners, agenda of the meeting helps systematic transaction of business at the meeting without leaving any point of importance. A properly drawn agenda minimizes the number of questions being put to the chair, thus saving time for more serious issues. So, when we are there on the day of the meeting, if the agenda is already available with us, we have gone through the agenda, and, then in that case, it minimizes the risk of questions which we can put to the chair. Otherwise, we will be having so many question answers which we can clear, beforehand. When the agenda is received by us in advance, we can always clear those doubts beforehand or before coming to the meeting. And of course, it saves time as well, and we can discuss on more serious and pertinent issues. A well-arranged agenda minimizes confusion and irritation through members speaking on irrelevant issues. Again, the learners, we are coming to the same thing, that if the agenda is prepared, well, so there is no scope for confusion and irritation, and the members, they will be speaking more relevant things rather than irrelevant things. All the issues are taken up for discussion by the chairman as per the order set out in the agenda, but the order can be altered with the consent of the members if required. Normally, what happens when we are preparing the agenda, or when the agenda is available with all of you, there can be agenda number 1, agenda number 2, agenda number 3, agenda number 4, so on and so forth. But during the course of the discussion, if the chairman, if we feel, or even the members, if they feel that we need to alter the agenda as per the importance of a particular topic which needs to be discussed, that can be done during the time of the meeting. Then agenda is drawn up by the secretary in consultation with the chairman. It is not that the agenda can be for any number of items. The agenda has to be prepared in consultation with the chairman. It has to be drawn out. Only very pertinent issues which can be solved during the meetings, they should be taken up in the agenda. Learners, it may be noted that the secretary prepares two types of agendas, one for the guidance of the chairman and the other to be sent to the members along with the notice of the meeting. Now let us try to find out the agenda which is kept for the chairman. How is it different from the one which we have sent to the other members? Now the agenda kept for the use of the chairman is usually prepared on loose sheets of paper, leaving a wide margin on the right hand side so that the chairman and the secretary may make notes against each of the item of the agenda. Then the agenda also contains the wording of the resolutions which has to be passed together with the names of the proposers and seconders. Now, the idea behind circulating the agenda in advance among the members is to enable them to come prepared for necessary discussion at the meeting. This we have already discussed, learners. But it is very important because if the agenda is already given to the members in advance, then they have enough scope to prepare. They can if they have to have some suggestions or some inputs, it is very difficult to have it there and then during the time of the meeting. They can come prepared for necessary discussion at the meetings if they have certain observations, if they have certain inputs. So that time they can include it in their agenda, and they can be all discussed during the course of the meeting. Now, there are certain guidelines or principles which must be kept in mind while preparing the agenda. So the agenda is just not prepared like this. There are certain guiding principles which we have to keep in mind while we are preparing the agenda. Number one, all items of similar nature should be placed near each other to facilitate quick disposal of business items. Now, what do we understand by this, learner? The second is routine items should be put in order, the first order, and the contentious items later. Contentious means where a lot of arguments is required. So if the items are expected to generate lengthy discussions, they are placed first. They may take most of the time, and most of the important matters may remain undiscussed, and the working of the organization will be held up due to the shortage of time. So time management is also, it plays a very crucial and a very important role when the meetings are taking place, or convened, because so all those items which require we can just put them in the priority order. Maybe if this is important, we can discuss it first, whether it is lengthy or not. If some arguments where we can see that there can be arguments, and then there is some kind of a deferment also in such kind of items, then we can take them in the latter place. But try to include the items which that they have to be approved and some deliberations have to be done on that. Try to include those items in the first order. Then all items listed in the agenda must be within the scope of the notice calling the meetings. Try to include the items whatever they are there in the meetings, whatever we have prepared. We can of course list items which can be prepared later on, but try to avoid such kind of things. It is better to include the items which are within the scope of the meeting. Then it should be in the summary form. Whatever agenda is being prepared, it should be in the form of a summary. It should not be point wise. Let it be in the form of a summary. It should be very clear and explicit, so that all the stakeholders, whoever will be the participants in the meeting, they know what you want to say. There should be unambiguity as far as all these things are concerned. So learners, coming up to agenda, like we just discussed about some of the guidelines which one has to keep in mind when we are drawing the agenda. So a properly drawn up agenda prevents many questions being put to the chair. It can even shorten the timings of the meetings. It can help us to get the sense of the meeting, and meeting is conducted in a smooth manner, very intelligently and expeditiously, without any confusion or irritation. So it's very essential that we draw up the agenda in this kind of a format. Here, learners, we have tried to give you a specimen of an agenda of an annual general meeting, and it says that the annual general meeting of ABC Society, it can be any society, it can be an organization, it can be a club, it can be a cooperative society, or it can be of any residential welfare association. But here we have just mentioned about ABC Society, which will be held at the Society's compound on Sunday, the 22nd August 2021 at 2 p.m. And what are the items, what will be included in the agenda? It talks about that it will be the minutes of the last meeting, it will be matters arising thereon, then correspondence and apologies for absence, then secretary's annual report, the treasurer's annual report and balance sheet, the election of office bearers, then there can be problems which need to be discussed during the course of the meeting and they need to be resolved unanimously, and then any other matter with the permission of the chair. So learners, if you see the agenda here, we are concentrating more on the secretary's annual report, we are concentrating on the treasurer's annual report and balance sheet, but it may not necessarily be the same agenda. Because here, since we are talking about some annual general meetings, so we have to take up all these issues into account. But there are certain times, when we are conducting a meeting, for some other purpose, we cannot wait for the annual general meeting to happen, which happens almost during the end of the year or middle of the year. And if there is certain urgency, then we can call some kind of interim meetings, and get the issues and problems resolved during those meetings. So here, since we are talking about some annual general meeting, that is why our main thrust is on the secretary's annual report or the treasurer's annual report and balance sheet. Then election of office bearers, there's some office bearers that need to be changed, so in that case also we have to take that account for. Now learners, the last thing which we have to cater to as far as the meetings is concerned is minutes. Again, minutes, as I said, they also form a very crucial part of the meetings, because without minutes, you cannot finalize the meetings. So the notice, the agenda and minutes, they are all very three components of any meetings. Now, what do we understand by minutes? The term minutes means a concise and accurate record of the activities transacted at the meeting. Whatever activities have been transacted in the meeting, they have to be documented, they have to be minuted. So the recording of the minutes is a very important part of the work of the secretary. Here, we are talking about secretary in terms of an organization, because our entire course is on secretarial practice. And when we are talking about secretary, we see that secretary would mean a private secretary or a personal secretary. The secretary prepares the minutes from the notes taken by him during the course of the meeting. So the PAs and the PS will take down the dictation during the meeting and type it out neatly. Now, when we are talking about companies, in company meetings, the responsibility of preparing the minutes is that of a company secretary. Company secretaries are, again, professional people, and they have to be there in every company. They have to be recruited in any or all the organizations. Whenever we talk about a company secretary, each and every company has to recruit a company secretary, and their major responsibility is preparing the minutes, just not of any kind of meetings. It can be any kind of finance meeting, it can be any kind of annual general meetings, it can be any kind of extraordinary general meetings. So the role of a company secretary is very important as far as organizations is concerned. Minutes may be of two types. First is minutes of narration. Now, these minutes are given in narration form and are used to record events which require no formal resolution. For example, noting of the members present, recording of the facts like calling the meeting by the chairman, auditor's report was read, etc. They all form the minutes of narration. Then there is minutes of resolution. In the minutes of resolution, only the resolutions which are passed at the meeting are recorded. They may also be called as minutes of decision. They always start with the word resolved, followed by the exact text of the resolution. The names of the mover and the seconder also may be indicated. What do we mean by mover and seconder? Mover here also means the one who proposes, and seconder means who is endorsing that decision of that particular person. For example, Mr. A has proposed and Mr. B has seconded, and it was resolved that such and such decision has been passed, or such and such resolution has been passed. Now, minutes, learners, it should not be confused with the report. Most of the time, what happens that minutes, people confuse it with reports. A report, it gives a historical account of all the matters which are discussed in the meeting and is much more detailed out, because it will give you a lot many backgrounds, some historical background, so many things, a complete detailed report it will give. And it was always be in the narrative form, and they contain the name of the speaker. It will contain the arguments given in favor and against the motion, the matters on which no decision was taken, the matter of voting, the full account of the proceedings of the meetings. So reports are elaborate and they are very detailed. On the other hand, when we talk about minutes, minutes only contain the decisions which have been taken in the meeting. In some cases, a brief narration is given in order to facilitate intelligent reading of what was done in the meeting. Meetings are the documentary evidences and are legally recognized by virtue of provisions contained in the Act. Now let us talk about drafting. So learners, till now we have been only talking about what is notice, what is agenda, and what is meetings. But then drafting is also very crucial part of any meeting, because it is the drafting where, the way of writing, in which you are minuting you're documenting your meetings. So the minutes are generally written from the notes which are taken by the chairman and the secretary during the course of the meeting. Now because they are all writing, whether it is the chairman or whether it is secretary, they are all writing in in very narrative forms, and they're taking notes of it, and whatever has been happening in the course of the meeting, they're all doing it according to that. But that is not the way to present the minutes. They have to be drafted in such a manner that there is no ambiguity in the interpretation. They must be drafted in paragraphs properly serialized. Each paragraph should be given a heading, and they may also be drafted in a tabular form. So suppose if we are talking about agenda 1, so the minutes have to be drafted related to agenda 1. This is the agenda. Then these were the the decisions, this was taken, and what was the outcome of it. So there is a way of drafting certain minutes, so that whosoever is reading, they know that okay, we are talking about this particular agenda, this was to be discussed, and this was the decision which was deliberations were done on this particular thing, and what was the decision taken, what was the outcome, what was the minute, what has been minuted after that. So, and in certain cases, it has to be in tabular form. If we are discussing about something which can only be in the tabular format, or it can be in some graph format, then we have to produce it that way. Then learners, we need to understand the contents, what the minutes should contain basically. Firstly, it should contain the nature of the meeting, whether it is an annual general meeting or whether it is an extraordinary general meeting, or whether it is meeting of directors, whether it is shareholders meetings, or whether it is a statutory body meeting, like it can be board of management meeting, any kind of meeting. We have to be very precise to mention about the nature of the meeting. Then the number of the meeting, say the 10th annual general meeting. Suppose it is the 10th annual general meeting we are talking about, we should be clearly mentioning that it is the 10th annual general meeting. If it is an extraordinary meeting and it is the 15th extraordinary meeting, then we have to write the 15th extraordinary general meeting. If it is a statutory body meeting, or it is the board of management meeting, then we should write that it is the 101st board of management meeting. So on and so forth. We have to clearly mention the nature, what kind of meetings we are talking about, then what is the number of that particular meeting. Of course, the name of the company is also very essential, that the meeting is taking place for which particular company. The date, time and venue of the meeting again has to be clearly mentioned. The name of the chairman and the secretary also has to be clearly mentioned. The names of the members present at the meeting with the view to indicate the presence of quorum. But where the number is large, when we're talking about organizations who are holding their annual general meetings or their extraordinary general meetings, and where there are many stakeholders, like the directors are there, the shareholders are there, the debenture holders are there, then so many other members are there. In that case, it would only be suffice to state that so many number of members were actually present. There we need not give any kind of number, because their quorum is not required. Quorum is only required when there is a small gathering of people in the meeting, and at least so many members have to be present. Then only the quorum is required. Then learners, all the resolution which is passed in the meeting in the same order as given in the agenda. It should be again in the very chronological order. It is not that we are talking about agenda 1 and the resolution we are passing is for agenda 3. So as I mentioned in my earlier slide, that if we are talking about agenda 1, what have been the discussions of agenda 1 and what has been the outcome of agenda 1, very clearly it has to be mentioned. Of course, then there has to be a vote of thanks, and then the chairman's signature with date in his own hand. When his own hand means that it is self-attested. Yes, that means the chairman has attended the meeting. No other person has attended in his place. Then the secretary should also initial the minutes, because it is the secretary along with the chairman who are finalizing the minutes. So the secretary also has to place his initials, and obviously the final signatures will be of the chairman. Learners, the minutes should also state the matters on which no formal decisions were taken. It should indicate that certain matters could not be discussed because of the scarcity of time. Maybe because the time was short, that is why we could not take it. Maybe we have deferred it for the next meeting. We should also indicate that the notice was read. Whether we are reading any kind of notice, we should clearly mention that it was read, the auditor's report was read, and the director's report and accounts report were all taken as read. So whatever has been in the meeting, during the meeting, everything has to be documented properly, whether decisions have been taken or not, or whether they have been just read, or whether they have been deferred for the next meeting. Now, certain statutory provisions regarding minutes have to be kept in mind, learners. Now, when the secretary, we are we're talking about the proceedings of the meetings, what are certain statutory requirements one has to keep in mind? So the secretary has to keep the minutes of the proceedings ready as per the provisions of the law of every meeting. Every organization has certain laws, certain provisions on the basis of which they have to prepare, and they have to abide by all those things. So the pages of the minute books must be consecutively numbered, and in no case they should be attached by pasting. Any correction or cutting etc. in the minute books must be initialed by the person signing the minutes. They should not be kept, any erasures should not be used, basically. The minute books must be kept by the secretary under proper custody to avoid any kind of tampering of the minutes. As I just mentioned, that whosoever is preparing the minutes, documenting it, their initials has to be there, so that no other person, no third person can tamper the minutes of the meeting. Each page of the book shall be signed, and the last page of the record of the proceedings of each meeting in such book shall be dated and signed by the chairman of the same meeting with the stipulated period of conclusion of the meeting. These are very small things, but very important things, because then only we can say that yes, they have been properly documented. The minutes of each meeting shall contain a fair and correct summary of the proceedings. The chairman shall enjoy an absolute discretion in regard to non-inclusion of any matter in the minutes. If the chairman feels that some inclusions are not required, he has the discretion to do so. But more or less, we should try to document each and everything, so that we have, all the things documented on one particular page, or whatever the minutes we are recording, so that whenever we are seeing, whenever we are convening a next meeting, we know what needs to be included, what needs to be removed, or any suggestions have to be incorporated. The minute books of the meeting in case of a company is to be kept at the registered office of the company, and it should be open to inspection for at least 2 hours a day to any member without charge. So this is very essential, learners. When we are talking about any organization or any company, the minutes of the meetings, they have to be kept at the registered office, and whosoever is the stakeholder, anybody who can, they can come and open and go through the minutes without any charge. Members are also entitled to obtain copies of minutes on request within 7 days on payment. So the specification of the minutes is given as under learner. It is saying that a meeting of the discipline committee was held in the room of the head office on Friday, which was the 18th of June at 2 p.m. All those who were present, their names are given: Mr. AB, Mr. CD, Mr. EF. The minutes of the last meeting which has been circulated were taken as read and approved and were signed by the head of office. Then matters are arising. What have they mentioned in that? There were no matters arising out of the minutes. Then apologies, they have mentioned that Mr. F could not attend the meeting as he was on leave due to ill health. Then certain other things also we have mentioned, which says that the meeting was started at the due time and the following points were concluded. It was decided to call the parents of the students who created indiscipline in the institute. It was decided to take the attendance of the student in question and also to note the marks obtained in the previous exams. Then it was decided to take the appropriate action as per the rules. Then it was decided to take stringent actions to avoid any indiscipline problem arising in the institute in near future. Then even the chairman fixed the date of the next meeting, and meeting ended with the vote of thanks to the chairman. So learners, I think so, to sum up, what we can say that we can understand that meetings are a very important element in any business organization. We just mentioned that there are various types of meetings. There is statutory meeting, there is general meeting, there is annual general meeting, there is extraordinary general meeting, there can be board meetings and etc. Then the secretary must arrange the date, time and venue for the meetings. They have to draw up the agenda and minutes of the previous meetings for approval. Then the chairman conducts the meetings and all matters are resolved unanimously. Otherwise, view of the majority has to be taken for consideration. After the meeting, the secretary prepares the minutes of the just concluded meetings and submits it to the chairman for approval. All reports, minutes and copies of correspondence are filed properly so that they are available for the next meeting or references. And of course, today, we discussed about notice, we discussed about agenda, we discussed about minutes. And so learners, I hope you enjoyed today's session as well as the previous sessions. They must have been very useful as we have given you an insight about the meetings. Again, I just want to reiterate the types of meetings, the role of the secretary before the meeting, during the meeting and after the meeting. And also today we discussed about notice, agenda and minutes of the meeting. So in case you have any doubts, you may please write to my email ID, which is gitikajori@ignou.ac.in. Thank you, learners.